Hello and welcome as I describe what is an archetypal reading and actually showcase it for everybody. So, I do archetypal readings using Kim Krans' Wild Unknown Archetype Deck. I connect with them. I love them. They work well with my understanding of archetypes, which I've learned through Carl Jung, um, the incredible Caroline Myss, Robert Ohotto, and other teachers. It's the language. I love speaking it. It just speaks to everybody on that subconscious, unconscious level. So when I'm doing a reading, and I'm going to do one on myself, I actually do a spread which I kind of made up myself over time. Now, I call it a pyramid spread, and I have one archetype which is like the theme. It is the main predominant archetype, the energy of which is really working with you at the moment, the core aspect. And then I have a past, present, and future card. And then I do three cards that are supporting the future. So there's 7 cards in total, and it all will make sense as I'm going through with this. Now, the question that I'm going to ask is I have been through a lot of spiritual initiations in the last 2 months. There's just been a lot of growth, and I really feel like I'm stepping into a whole new version of myself. So, the question I'm going to ask is what is actually going on for me spiritually? So, I could have gone for business or I could have gone for spiritual stuff, but I really feel like I've just been going through so many upgrades and so many different releasing of old stories. I'm curious what is happening spiritually for me. What is this new version of myself? I'm going to ask the archetypes to explain to me, like, what's the next step for me spiritually. I'm going to see what comes through. So that's an interesting card that I got as my main one. And I kind of wish that it was something different, but at the same time, it's highly appropriate. But this always happens in readings. We can sometimes feel like um, that I don't really like that card as much, or the meaning that's when you actually, for the person doing a reading on themselves, you're like, oh, not that card again. But it will be okay. Now, I am just doing the last 2 cards. All right. Okay. The predominant card that is working with me that I was slightly like, oh, really, is the mountain card. So this card is telling me it's a time to look within. It's not a time of, there's another card in the deck called the cave, which is when you're like literally in the cave and you're really going in and feeling all the stuff. This is more like here is the little doorway inside of the mountain, and that all the gems, all the knowledge, and everything is within me. So the reading is saying, like, I'm moving into a time where I'm going to be really pulling out the gems of information, the things about myself. But the mountain has also still got that little bit of a reclusive energy to it. Like the answers are within me, myself. It's time to bring them out. It's not overly got that energy of extroverted, go, go, go. Now, that also talks about another aspect of it, whereas as you're making your way up sometimes people can get so obsessed about getting to the summit of the mountain and winning that they lose track of the fact that it's not a competition. The answers are actually within you. So within the little window is a little person. So it's more internal work for me based upon the question of what I've asked, which is, do I need, what's going on spiritually? There's still going to be a little bit of internal work, but it's going to be the answers are within me, the gifts are coming out, but the energy that I'm feeling with the card is it's not like rah, rah, rah. It's actually still like a little bit more stuff. So I could have a little bit more shadow work or more epiphanies or just more stuff to discover. And that's okay. I can deal with it. I was wishing that I was going to get like this really like threshold card or like something really kind of fun, but instead I got there's a little bit more work to do in the answers within. Now the past card is the initiation card of Agape. So this is initiation of new lenses of love and devotion. So that's definitely speaking about July. So I had massive upgrades when I did the meditation series for the Syrian Starseed meditation series. My actual shaman archetype and my shaman abilities went through this total metamorphosis. I got really ill and then I had all these things going on, but then also like a lot of more insights and different things were going on with me. So I had new gifts and talents activate. I had people complimenting me, oh wow, your meditations have changed and I love what you're doing now. And my energy healings, like everything really went through a really massive up leveling. So when you have an initiation card come through and there is only 8 in the entire deck, you always know that there's a lot of changes going on. When people come to me, quite often they can have 2 and 3 initiation cards in their reading, and I know that they've been going through it. So because that's in the past card, exactly like I was saying with my question, I feel like I've been through all this up leveling. What's next? So this is an interesting card for the present. So it is the unseen. So like many cards, they can be multifaceted or like multi-level learnings and teachings from it, basically. So this is a twofold aspect to it. One, the unseen, which is your psychic gifts, your lucid dreamings, your abilities and talents in this lifetime, they can all be going through a lot more metamorphosis. It can literally mean the unseen realm is trying to make contact with you. So if for myself, I feel like this is talking about like my light language. It's talking about the things which are my psychic gifts. My lucid dreaming has been off the charts, those kind of aspects. So with other people, it could be also like loved ones trying to make contact with you from the unseen realm. It can also be galactical. So the unseen, like the people in fifth dimensional beyond, Sirius, Andromedans, Lyrans, you name it. It's that unseen realm trying to make contact. But there is that other flip side to it, which is you can also have to be careful that you're not being, what's the right word? You're not having projections from other people directed towards you. So when people start to ascend into their purpose and they're really happy in their life, a lot of people can then try and pull you back down because they don't like you to get all shiny and happy, because then they have to reflect, hang on, my life is not shiny and happy, how dare you, I want to like shit on your parade. And so when you look at that and you're like, oh, okay, so there's an energetical like psychic darts to it. Most people who are on their journey and the spiritual journey are very good at being able to put a boundaries, energetical boundaries up, so that they don't get worried about people's projections. It is harder if it's your family member and loved ones, because they're supposed to be supporting you and being your cheerleader, not trying to pull you back down when you're shifting. But unfortunately, it can quite often be your loved ones who freak out the most when you change. The other aspect from the unseen realm is it can be psychic attacks and, um, negative beings or negative energies, or electromagnetic pollution. I don't want people who are hearing me talk about this card to go into fear. It's not about that. It's just a reminder to check your energy. Just like we are responsible for our own personal hygiene, mentally and spiritually, we also have to look after our mental hygiene and our spiritual hygiene. We are in 100% control of being able to have incredible boundaries, energy work, protection work. You can do anything from crystals to learning Donna Eden's energy routines of clearing. There's shamanistic aspects. There's so many things that you can do, even basic smudging, to cleanse and clear yourself. It is your responsibility, because you are responsible for your spiritual hygiene. No one's going to come along and save you. So sometimes this card can be a little bit of like, So for myself, I believe that this card is talking about the new gifts coming on, like being activated, but also just to take caution to cleanse a little bit more recently. I feel like there's a lot of energies going on, and it can even be astrological influences and other people's influences. Like if someone else is grumpy in the house, it's just, hey, knock, 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 reminder, watch yourself, look after your energy field. It's just a simple reminder. Now, if someone came to me with this reading, I would be asking them some questions, like how they're going, to see whether or not they are under a little bit more attack and they might need some guidance with that. But a lot of people just like, I know exactly what that is and I'm going to work through it. So my future card is a little bit interesting for me, because it's a good card, but I would have really loved a better one, as many people do who do readings for themselves, right? So it is the Forest. So the Forest has a really interesting energy to it. So I want you to imagine that you're walking through a forest and there's all these pathways, and you actually can't see the horizon. You can't see which path to take. So the feeling is like, oh my gosh, I'm actually a little bit confused. The signposts are gone. Do I take that path, or by that path? And what I usually say to people is this card reflects it's okay to be a little bit confused, and like there might be some multiple options of different pathways that you can take coming up. And if you really want to get out of the energy of this card, you can just focus on one direction, take one path, and imagine like if you're in the forest and you see a really tall tree, or you see a big rock, and you're like, I'm going to climb there and I'm going to see, so I can get above the forest and I can see where the nearest road or town is. So you're seeking height and elevation in order to seek clarity, but you have to like focus on one thing. So with this card for myself, with the question that I've got, that mountain is still there, is the one that we're working with the most. I've got new gifts and talents and new abilities and new stuff activating with me that I need to be really providing a space for to see them. And then other opportunities are going to come forward with the forest. And I'm just going to have to be okay that I might be a little bit confused. Which pathway do I take? So I'm going to have to be okay with being confused. And I've worked upon that because I love to be in control. I like to know what's going on, right? But I've worked a lot on surrendering and honoring like the energy that's in the now. So if I'm going to get confused with multiple pathways and timelines, like opportunities, which ones do I take? Then I'm going to be okay with that. And I'm also going to just really tap in, because that's the key with the mountain, is like going within, what do I really want to do? And then picking one of the timelines and one of the pathways in the forest to take. Now, the three cards that I have, picked as the foundational cards that are going to go with that forest and support the future, they're all good. But once again, there's some really fun cards that are in these, and I would have really loved some of the fun cards, but we accept our readings for the truth that they bring. So the heart is coming into it. So that is both a warning, because we're now building upon the forest, the future card. So this is going to be, how do I support that future card? How do I support feeling in the forest? So the heart is there. I have to be really, really careful that the choices I make are aligned with my heart. But it's also a positive indication that there are pathways and things coming up with that forest card of opportunities that are all about self-love and all with that beautiful divine heart energy. So there's no scary warning cards. It's actually a really beautiful card to be balancing with it. But there's also has that tinge of, like, when I'm doing a reading for somebody or for myself, it's like, okay, there's a little bit of a warning here. So the warning for me is, when I'm with the forest and with all the opportunities and all the pathways, I have to make a really clear decisions that it is aligned to what I really truly want to do in my heart, not what the logical brain is saying, not with all that stuff and the external things. It has to be internal. Remember, we're always going back to the mountain as well. It's an internal aspect, an internal journey. The hunter comes through, which is a really good card to have as the foundational level. It means that you are hunting down and getting the outcome that you're wanting. But it's got an element of pursuit to it. So the horse is like pursuing the light. So it means that I'm on that journey of like, right, I've taken the path that my heart aligns with and everything, and now I'm hunting it down. And so it means that I'm going to be in a pursuit of something. I'm going to be hunting something down. It has no kind of like light and fluffy. Usually when the hunter activates, it's got like this really like can't stop energy, and that's really what's coming through. So whatever path I'm going to choose when I'm in the forest is really going to activate that hunter to then pursue something. Now, the poet is a little bit of a hard card for me, because the poet archetypally, I believe, is a bridging card. So what happens is, you think of all the great poets. Even Taylor Swift is a modern day poet. And she's probably a better example than some of the older ones, because more people will know her. So what she does is she has an experience. It's a felt experience. And then what she does is she comes back and she creates words, songs, but they're words to begin with. And that creates a bridge for people to have an experiential, like emotional experience directly from that experience to her words, and you feel it. So you become the bridge for spirit by going through that felt experience, coming back, talking about it, and then it enables other people to bridge and have that, like, feel through you and feel through the words and through the experience. So how many times have you heard people like say men, fathers, women, children, teenagers. I listened to her music. I listened to Taylor Swift's music, and I felt every word. It's like I was back as a teenager and I was going through that, or when I was going through a breakup, or when I was doing something. You take it personally. Now, other artists who are just artists and they don't have the poet archetype, they create music, and you attach fun memories to that music. Oh, I remember when I was listening to this in the car with such and such. I was listening to this with such and such. I remember when I was a child. I remember when I was 20. I remember when I was married. I remember, like, you have memories associated with time, but you're not transported to having that experience while listening. And that's the difference with what Taylor does with other artists, is you listen to her work and you're like, I can remember when this happened to me. I can remember when that happened. And um, for the poet to be coming up in this way, it usually means that I go through something. And this is why I was a little bit like, oh, because it's usually, I mean, sometimes it can be a fun experience, but most of the time it is you're going through something, and um, it's on the harder side of life because there's emotions attached to it, or there's some kind of educational aspect as well. So, looking at me and what I do, this is saying to me, you're going to come up to the forest. There's going to be some opportunities that are going to happen. You have to make a heart-lined decision, what goes with your heart. The hunter is going to activate. You're going to have to pursue it. And then you're going to have, through the hunting it down and through the experience, you're going to learn things which you then have to come back and teach other people with, which I do with my short courses or with my blogs or with my YouTubes or with my other different things. But energetically, the feeling that I'm getting is just like I'm not going to really be that impressed about it, which is sad to give myself that reading, but it's honest. And I'm forewarned, and I feel like this has gave me a lot more clarity. Now, that's me with my reading done. And because this is an example for people to see how I would do a reading, this is the pyramid reading. There is other things that I do, and I'll just add this briefly at the last moment. So say, for example, I have a client who comes to me probably every 6 months or so, maybe a little 5 to 6 months, and she just does timeline readings, and she'll be like, if I do this, what do the cards say? And if I do this, what do the cards say? Now, sometimes I'll only do a 3 card reading if she's asking like multiple different things. So I'll just do past, present, and future. And also, like, say I did this reading and there was a lot of initiations coming up, or there was some questions about the future. I can also ask for additional cards and clarity on a specific card, etc. So the readings are very organic. They're not like normal readings with other people. I've created my own pyramid spread, which I don't even know if anyone else does it that way. And then you can build upon that. That it's not strictly, in a box, has to be confined and done this way. It's very organically co-created as we build this and as we go through. Now, as I said in my other video, and I've written down, but I'm going to say it here as well. When you come for a reading, in the 60 minutes, you can usually do about 3 to 6 questions. But sometimes people come to me in a real, like, spiritual kerfuffle. They're in a mess. They're just like, this is all going on. I feel stretched to my limits. I'm going mad. I feel like I'm being punished by the universe. Everything's happening all at once. So if you have a full-on initiation that you're kind of feeling like you're in, and you're really confused, lost, overwhelmed, all those things, you're probably not going to be able to get as many questions asked, because the reading will be, you know, you'll do the reading and a lot of people will have massive aha moments. They'll be putting things together. They'll be wanting to unburden themselves and be witnessed by me. And I've done a lot of energy work. I've studied multiple energy modalities, light language modalities, shaman modalities, um, Caroline Myss, Robert Ohotto. Like, I have a huge toolkit that I help people with. So when that happens, sometimes people don't get as many questions asked, but they actually end up having an incredibly healing experience. They feel deeply grounded and, you know, lots of clarity and very relieved by the end of it, because they're in initiation and they're finally being witnessed by somebody who can like help them through that, but see it, and it's a really energetic component to it. So I'm going to put in the description below the link to book in or to find out more information. There'll also be testimonials and stuff for you to look at as well. So if you have any further questions, don't hesitate to comment or to reach out to me on social media and contact me, because I love answering questions. And I'll see you in my next videos, and hopefully I will see you in a reading if you feel called to do one with me. Bye for now.